introduce you to my special guest for today. Former President Mahama and his campaign team ignored crucial campaign intelligence provided by a team of experienced members of the party prior to the 2016 general election. That's the revelation by Rojo Metonunu, who was a one-time campaign manager for the late President Atta Mills. He says a survey he and other experienced members of the party conducted revealed that the party's 2016 campaign message was out of touch with the people, and subsequently provided suggestions for messages that would be more acceptable by the Ghanaian electorate. But the campaign team turned a deaf ear to it. Here's my interview with him, which focused on the reasons for the NDC's defeat in the 2016 elections, what senior members of the party could have done to help the campaign, and lessons learned as the party prepares for the next general elections in 2020. Are you blaming the media for the NDC's defeat?
No. You asked me a very general question.
Well, so will you blame the media? Because you talk about agenda setting. That gives me the indication that you mean that there was a certain concerted effort to set an agenda, an anti-Mahama perhaps, or an anti-NDC agenda. Is that what you meant?
That's what I mean.
Okay.
What I mean is that if I keep on bombarding you with a certain kind of news or kind of message or kind of communication, like Goebbels said, even if it's falsehood, after a while people begin to believe it.
Okay.
I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, if you're a party in power and you're not able to cultivate journalists who will speak for you, if you cannot have newspaper review panelists who will defend you, then that is a failing on the part of the ruling government.
Okay, so if you were to list them for me, sir, give me 5 reasons, and we're listing them so that it's not general, so that we can get it. 5 reasons why the NDC lost the 2016 elections. What would you say?
The first is that it could not protect the poll.
It could not protect the poll?
Yes.
Okay, the second will be?
The second was that we could not motivate our polling agents to secure the pink sheets.
The third?
The third is that we could not defend our agenda sufficiently by the way we explained the policies and manifesto of the party to the Ghanaian population who would come out to vote.
And the fourth?
We couldn't bring out the voters. There was a very dramatic drop in the number of people who went out on that D-Day to vote for NDC.
The fifth?
We did not capture intelligence that would tell us that there was a sufficient disenchantment amongst the core faithful NDC members to urge other people and themselves to vote.
Well, let's start from the fifth. Intelligence. This was a party in government. You had all the resources available to yourself. You control national security. How come that this intelligence was not available to the party going into an election?
The intelligence may be available or may be doctored, but it's a question of whether the campaign was influenced by intelligence.
What was it influenced by, in your opinion?
I don't know. I don't know what it was influenced by. I just know that we did not answer the questions the electorate were concerned about. Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
You have different constituencies. There isn't one message to answer all questions. In Greater Accra, the Osuklote constituency message has to be different from the Teshinwa message, from the Ashama message, from the Ododo Diodo message, because the things that affect the people is not who is a minister representing them or who is a DC representing them. It has to do with whether they have water, they have electricity, their children can go to school, whether they can afford medical bills, whether their parents are unemployed, whether there are opportunities for self-employment, whether they have access to credit, whether people are vulnerable and are receiving the necessary support, what is happening to disadvantaged groups, whether the unionized groups are agitating because government is not listening to fair wages issues. Is the military comfortable? If they go on peacekeeping, do they receive their allowances and what they are due? How do we take care of the welfare of the security agencies?
Okay.
You know, when people have to be paid their fair wages do they receive the fair wages because your tax regime is on the high side? You know, if you go to the Bible, the Israelites will tell you that reduce our prices and our taxes and we'll serve you. You understand?
Did you feel that the NDC administration then overtaxed the people of Ghana?
Well, not so much that it overtaxed the people of Ghana. I think that you have IMF and World Bank policies that make it difficult for you to employ young graduates, for example. But it adds up to a descent. If you want to increase your income levels in order to carry out projects, you look for who you can tax. And nobody likes Zacchaeus. So as you introduce taxes or you plug loopholes in the tax regime, and it appears to be one particular social group that is suffering or paying the bills, you get resentment. There's a growing middle class.
Which is what your fifth point, which is something that the administration then could not work it out properly so that it could bring them electoral victory. You said that you could not bring out the voters. Your party did not go out there to encourage people to come out to vote. Isn't it because the same dissent, so that even if you went out to bring them in, they were not willing to come out to vote for you because they were already angry?
Well, anger comes from different points of view. I mean, you find a situation where MPP had been in opposition for 8 years, and they made promises.
Yeah.
Now, if people are willing to believe promises, regardless of what you do for them, they will not vote for you. If they believe more in promises
than what is being done already,
they will not come out and vote for you. So, politically, you need to find an arrangement that allows your own supporters to believe in you and to say, well, you don't change a country in 4 years. But if in 4 years people are worse off than they were before, should they give you another 4 years when their own party is in power and they don't benefit? Or should they try their luck with somebody else they don't know?
So you think that's what happened? People decided that let's try our luck with Akufo-Addo.
Well, you can see from things that people said in the Volta region that, yes, you said we are your
World Bank.
But show us in what way our lives have improved in terms of the things that we aspire to receive from a party that is our party in power.
Right.
I use the family analogy to explain this. I mean, you are a father and you have children. They are your direct blood children. Will you look after your direct blood children better, or you look after your brothers and sisters' children? And then if you don't have a clear understanding of what it is, will you look after your adopted children better than your own children and your brothers and sisters' children?
That's what happened between the NDC and the Volta region?
Yes, because you see, policy is policy. If I win power and I say it's an all-inclusive government, you are telling people that you have a little piece of cake which you want to share, but you share to everybody.
Yeah.
Now, if you say that no, it's a winner-take-all issue, then you can turn a blind eye to a whole number of people because they are the marginal swing voters, and you stay loyal to only your strongholds. So
in this case, what did the NDC do?
NDC cut the cake 100% across board. I mean, there's been significant development in the Ashanti region, significant development in some parts of Ghana that were traditionally known to be, you know,
MPP or
MPP, you know. So.
But that was a strategic decision. The strategy, perhaps, from any lay point of view, you could say, is that you're looking to win them over. So then you want to cater for their needs.
In politics since 1992, every strong political party has a minimum of 45%. And they struggle to get the additional 5% plus 1. So you must maintain your strongholds. You must manage your marginal and swing constituencies.
And maintain your strongholds.
Precisely.
I see. You talk about inability of the party to defend the policies and the things that you had done. What about the Green Book? There was a Green Book. You had NDC communicators all over the place. You were the party in government. You had money. You had resources. So why do you say they were unable to defend themselves with this?
You know, you can have as many Green Books as you like, telling your own story. If the things in the Green Book are not the things people want you to do for them, you're answering the wrong questions.
Okay. Okay.
It could be a very beautiful story told to people who say, but this does not concern me. If young nurses have not been employed for 2 years, what difference does the Green Book do to them? You understand?
I understand. Let's look at the point.
If second-hand dealers want you to reduce taxes and you're giving them a Green Book, the Green Book is not addressing the issue of second-hand spare parts dealers. Second-hand spare parts could amount to dumping. It could amount to spreading of certain diseases that will come in the panties, the brassieres, and the clothing, and the blankets, and the towels that come in. But yes, you're looking at the health conditions and all that, and you think your policy is driving it. But you need to have intelligence that tells you that your policy is not being driven by the aspirations of the people on the ground.
The final point, let's put it together, the polling agents and the polling stations, inability of the party to motivate the polling agents, and then inability of the polling agents perhaps to, in your view, do their work well at the polling station. Really?
Yeah, you know, every party in power has a challenge of losing the elections, not winning it. Any government in power is challenged by what? Losing the election. So when you're in opposition, people can volunteer to be serial callers for you. They're not going to bring you a bill.
Because they know you don't have money.
You don't have money. But when you are in power and you want people to go to the radio station, there are no freebies. You must pay them for that. Okay. So when you're looking for the groundswell, you find out that a government in power needs more money to maintain its hold on power, whereas a government in opposition can make promises, and people will believe in those promises and hope that should that party win and their work is recognized, they may then be given jobs, an enabling environment, or they'll be recognized and they'll be given some kind of economic opportunity that will make them survive.
Sounds very strategic the way you put it, and it sounds like you've got it sounds like a consultancy, so to speak. Did you feel neglected by the Mahama administration?
Well, I don't know about neglection. You know, I don't know about neglect. Every leadership has its own style. And if you look at the tradition of the PNDC, NDC, it spans how many decades?
Since 92, would you say?
Since 92. I mean, we've got to give people opportunity to serve also. So if in your party, the older generation still want to hold on to ministerial appointments, I think it will be asking for too much. There are so many ways in which you can serve in a government. And I like the Chinese model because the Chinese model recognizes different opportunities for long-serving party faithfuls.
Did you get the opportunity, all of these things that you've told me, I'm sure you must have known some of them already, maybe advice that you could have given to the government. Did you get the opportunity to give out this advice, to tell them what you think about what has to be?
Well, for the last 3.5 years, I've been rather unwell. So, I mean, if it was a question of, on a daily basis, crusading and supporting and advising, it would have been extremely difficult for me. Yeah.
So, did you get the opportunity I mean, even though you weren't well, there will definitely be times where you feel you heard something and you felt like this.
Oh, we did a lot in our own way. I have a group of people who are extremely committed, and we carried out research. We did a 32,000 household survey across all the 10 regions of this country, identifying attitudes, behaviors, perceptions, and desires of the people of Ghana. We put the report together, and either the report
didn't find its way to the presidency?
No, it did, but you know, sometimes people want to hear what they want to hear. Okay. Yeah, if you think you're winning and somebody comes and says, wait a minute, you're losing.
That you actually sometimes perhaps become a target yourself.
Or if you want people who will sing his master's voice, you will not be heard.
Was that what happened in this case?
I believe strongly that our message, our research data, was not accepted. It did not impact the strategy of the elections, and it was a disaster waiting to happen.
Wow. Now that it happened, there's been a lot of agitation within the NDC. So internal agitations. People are not happy. So Kwesi Botchwey comes, Kwesi Botchwey is put on a committee to put it all together. What do you make of that committee, and have you seen the findings?
No, I haven't seen the findings, but you see, the NDC, for me, is a party of conspirators.
Why do you say so?
You have different interest groups, and they levitate towards NDC. Now, I'll give you an analogy. If you live in a house with a dog, and you have children who are abroad, who have not known the dog, after 6 months, the dogs are older, and if your children come back home, the dogs will bite them. If people who worked very closely with the late Professor Ivan Sata-Mills were very closely known by the party and Prof, and suddenly there was no Prof for a transition, and you have a new team, many people who were loyal to the party but were not known to the new team will be sidelined. We did not manage that transition very well. Okay. That, to me, was a major weakness of the party.
Now looking at the Mahama-led administration, would you say that it was dodged by many, or let's say, integrity issues?
Some integrity issues, not many, some. You see, there are times when perception is like a virus. If people perceive that you are corrupt and you don't deal with that perception, it spreads. And all you need is somebody to just keep on echoing it, that you're corrupt, you're corrupt, you're corrupt, you're corrupt. Now, to present some other person as incorruptible, and you are not able to attack that perception. Why? As Attorney General, the current president came under several judgment debt issues that he couldn't manage.
But the NDC couldn't do much with that information.
That's what I'm saying. You know, so even under 6 months of the current government, he said, there will be no corruption under my watch. 6 months down the road, we're seeing it happening. It's unfolding. I mean, I can understand the motivation of people to plow back money they invested after being in opposition for 8 years. But as custodians of governance, people must recognize that you're being given opportunities to serve, not to make back money you lost, but to serve your country in honesty and with integrity.
Are you referring to the Bost controversy?
Well, those things have to be investigated. All I'm saying, I'm talking about perception. You know, something happens and it triggers. There's this story about a lady who was appointed onto the Council of State and gets less taxes on her imports than other people. It's perception. Some people lift products from bust, and they say it's contaminated or is whatever it is. And some people say it can be cleaned and sold, and it's not a zero value product. It's perception. You understand? You have killings, and the people are sent to court. And in one instance, the public perceives that there is enough evidence. And then suddenly the cases get withdrawn, and then one doesn't know whether the lives of citizens matter or will be protected by perception.
By this, you're referring to recent incidences?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So are you referring to the major Mahama incidents because the people are still in custody?
I'm talking about the Major Mahama issue. I'm talking about the
Delta
MPP,
forces?
No, yeah, Delta forces. I'm talking about the MPP party chairman who got attacked with the acid attack. You know, so many things are big. You have people in the
NYEP, which is what now Youth Employment?
Yes, the Youth Employment Agency. For whatever reason, they were employed, they were engaged. You don't complete their formal appointment processes, but you come preaching that you create jobs. You don't disenfranchise one group of people by asking them to go on transfer, and then you replace them with another group of people for whatever reason. It's perception. You understand what I'm saying?
When you say it's perception, because in this country, we've seen this happen over and over again. It's like a vicious cycle, and we deal with it with every change of government. So the people will then begin to question the propriety of putting those people there in the first place. Now that you've mentioned it, let's say that we're assessing the NPP administration so far. Now, you'd have people raise concerns to say this was done in the administration and it was done in a bad way. Even though they admit that it is not good to continue the bad things, they will still say it was done in a bad way. So dealing with the YEA issue, you would say it's what happened before that perhaps caused what's happening now.
It's not what happened before. On the day of the swearing in of every new president, they swear on the Quran and the Bible to do justice to all persons, to all Ghanaian citizens. At the time that they swear to be presidents for all Ghanaians, not for the party that brought them into power. So I don't buy the argument that there is a party with a manifesto, and that when the president, who is the flag bearer, who won the election, swears, he forgets that he's sworn in to be fair to all persons and begins to promote one party's interest against the other.
The previous president.
Precisely. We need to review our constitution. We need to look at this winner takes all kind of tsunami, where the moment there is a transition, then you have the Delta forces and the invisible forces thinking that there is a coup d'etat, and they move in on appointees and take vehicles off them, drive them out of their bungalows, and literally give the impression that there is no merit in serving your country. Okay.
Well, I'll come back. We'll continue with this discussion. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and Dopia. I'm having a very interesting conversation with Rojo Meto-Nunu, former Deputy Minister of State in charge of both health and then later on roads and highways as well. We've been talking about his life, his political life, and of course about he's just been assessing, I would say, the NPP administration. We'll take a very quick break and we'll be right back.